Hello, people of the internet. So we got to work on a Grand Cherokee today. Nothing major. The windshield wiper in the back tried to work the other day, and that's as far as it made it. It hasn't done anything since. So I'm going to put in a new wiper motor, and these inner taillights, they're not necessarily bad, but they're not venting properly anymore. I thought it was a good chance that it was a seal issue, but after looking at the new ones that came in, there's plenty of open space back there for them to vent, and they're just not venting very well. They condensate like crazy. It'll get to a point where down here in the reverse lights they'll be pooling water, and it also gets pooling water in this area below. But you really shouldn't do that. And honestly, after looking at it with as much ventilation as these things have in them, there should be no reason for that. Like a lot of times the seal around the outside will start going bad. I don't know. I got some new ones. I'm gonna put them in. It's gonna work or it's not. You do you. But yeah, that's what we're doing. I'll get a tool list together as we go along. Probably the first thing you want to do, though, when you get working on this, I know this particular model, the interior lights are on kind of a timer, so it'll be on for a while, and they just turn themselves off. But if you want to be on the safe side, depending on how long you're going to be in with everything open and things like that, you just go to your headlight switch. The little roller is the dimmer. Just roll it all the way down. You'll feel it click. That's the off. Turn them off. Don't have to worry about the battery, stuff like that. Everything should be good. Let's get the camera. So what we'll have to do is get in here, and you know how this works. You take all the body clips out without breaking the giant, probably $8 million piece of plastic here. And then we get up here. Dog's been a little aggressive. Get up here. This is going to unclip from itself, and we'll take stuff apart as that goes on. So then get some tools. Probably the first thing you're going to want with this, you're going to want a body clip remover. I make all sorts of types of them. You probably also want to clean the inside of your stuff sometimes. I don't, but you might want to. They do make different types. They make different types of body tools. I've got the ones that look like squeaky gloves. I got the ones that look like screwdrivers and pry bars. I've also got the plastic ones. They all kind of work. So use the style you like, and probably need some new struts too. Wow, I'm finding all sorts of stuff on here. Now, all right, we're going off on tangents. Let's get some tools together. Let's start taking this thing apart, and we'll come back in a few minutes. All right. So once you've gotten this loose, it is in two halves. There's a separation right here. I've got mine down just enough. The lights, the pod lights that are in here, you'll want to reach in there and unclip. This one, the clip broke, but you want to reach in there and unclip them on each side. That way you're not fighting that when you go to pop this down, because I'm about ready to just give it a good yank and have it fall down. So just to show what I was talking about here, my hand's going to be in the way, and it's going to be on the other side on this one. But you come in, you undo the clip, and you pop the wire out. It's out. That clip broke too, and I most definitely need new struts. Got to stop putting that off. Don't put off things you can fix. What is it? Don't put off tomorrow the things you can fix today. Yeah, don't do that. So, wow, sorry. Let's change camera angle here. Not better. So once you're in, that one is the only one that fought me and didn't want to come out. Now you can get a little bit better access to this and pop it out. It's got some steel tension clips here where the latch mechanism is for the top glass. But you have full access to everything you need to have access to. you're gonna have 4 of these nuts, cap nuts. 2 are on the inside, 2 are on the outside. They take a 10mm socket. Use what you feel like. But you can see here what I'm talking about, where there's plenty of ventilation in them. There's a big air gap here, there's a big air gap up here. So I don't know why mine are holding water as bad as they are, but I don't like it. So that's why we're doing this. But yes, 10mm, 2 plugs to disconnect. That's on either side. Same rinse and repeat. They're mirrored. And you can actually probably do this without taking, if you're like in a shop and you're trying to do it quick. I would have just popped it down, kept these located, and squeezed my little monkey arms up in here and done everything blind. But yeah, you should probably actually take it apart. It is much more convenient. So let's get working. And a side note, you know, I pointed out the 4 nuts that hold it in place. There's also a metal tab on the inner portion of the hatch. And then, I don't know if I'll focus. Yep, right there. Oh, let's get a pointer. Sorry. Right there. That piece is a plastic catch tab. It grabs into the body. Now, they don't hold very strong. They're just kind of there to keep it from falling out pretty much while you're doing things. They're not, you know, they're really weak. But you do need to get those unclipped before the assembly will pop out of the body. Just so everybody's aware. And the new lights are in. They're nice. They look good. The old one, the back seals to the body were compressed fairly, you know, to a done point. I don't know. I can't think. It's fine. So I left that off for the time being. We're going to start working on getting the wiper motor out. Now, this box has, I can't get everything to stay put. But basically, it's 2 halves, plastic, it clips together. I use a small pick, and I push this piece closest to the glass down and pull out on this bigger piece. So depending on what angle you attack this from, that's going to be a little different for you. But that's how I get that off of there. And then on the arm unclips and hinges down. So a lot of these, they will like scoop in and they'll hinge up here. This one hinges backwards. So just be mindful of that if you're trying to pry on this end. Yeah, you could snap this off of here. But we're going to take covers off. I'm going to get the arm off. We're going to see how much more damage we have to do to get everything apart. Okay, once you get the cover off, you can see it just clips in. Well, maybe you can't see. It's pretty dark. It's overcast today. But you can see that little tab right there. This one, the rectangular one. There's a couple of those around this guy. And they clip into that, and that's what holds it. These are going to be 10mm nuts. And on the outside, I've already taken the arm off. You can see mine's lovely. Has a 10mm nut, and you just wiggle the arm off. You raise it, and you wiggle it off. It sits tapered onto these splines. There's a boot. You want to keep that. That looks terrible. You'll take this nut off, which I have to go measure, as I have not figured out what it is. God, that aluminum looks horrible in there. Yeah, just remember, folks, it's only road salt. You know, the salt in the air doesn't affect anything. So we will find a nut for that and come back in a minute. All right. So that is a 22mm socket. You're gonna want it closed like that. I highly recommend using a 6-point on there. And let's see how bad this is gonna be. Can I do it one hand with my weak hand? Oh no, oh noes. All right, you want to be careful. You don't want to break anything. So let's we're gonna do something and let that, and yeah, because that's lovely. Okay, so after letting it sit with a little coil on it, everything comes loose. What you have is a stack of stuff like so. Remember, the nut takes a 22mm socket. Then there's a washer. I had to use a pair of channel locks to wiggle it free. And then there is the pull tab. Pull tab is notched, as you can maybe tell, maybe not, but that's a D slot, so it's just a notch. There is a grommet in the glass. When I put this back together, I mean, I'm going to clean all these pieces up as well as I can. When I put it back together under this boot, I think I'm going to pack some, well, number one, I'm going to use some copper anti-seize on all these threaded together points. But I think I might put a little bit of, just a dab of like wheel bearing grease in here under the grommet. So once all that's off, and I can't do this with one hand. But once all that's off, we'll open this back up. We'll disconnect it electrically. We'll take the two, I think it's only two. It's either 2 or 3 10mm head nuts. And hopefully this thing will be ready to push out of this grommet and get where we need. I'm probably also, since I did not get, you know, quality Mopar replacement parts here, genuine Mopar, you know, everything's individual, so it didn't come with a new grommet. I'm probably going to put a little dielectric grease around the grommet just to, I don't know, just for GP. He used to do it all the time with stuff. I don't know if it helps or not. Working GM used to recommend dielectric grease on like every seal, you know, this type, every exterior seal known to man. They thought it would be the solution to like keeping their T-tops from leaking. But anyway, let's get this open back up and we'll start taking things apart. We got this open. I could not do it one-handed, as you can see. You get a 10mm head bolt here, 10mm or head nut, 10mm head nut, the electrical connector. Can't do this one-handed either, evidently. It's fine. You know how an electrical connector unplugs. Once that's out, this should gently, and by gently I mean fall like a rock, out through the glass, break everything, dent. It'll land right about here, so be sure to dent the panel right there. And yeah, well, either that or it'll get stuck and it'll shatter the glass. One of the two. That's the only way these things work. Let's tear it apart. Hopefully it'll be about ready to go back together next time I turn the camera on. Now, once you get the motor off, it's gonna look like this. It's gonna look like this. There are this and this. These two screws, bolts, whatever, the hex head ones. They are a, what size are you? They are a 5mm. You're gonna need to take those off, because that's what separates the motor assembly from the housing, or from, not from the housing, but from the trim piece. And then these will have to be saved because you'll need them to put on the new motor assembly. So those just come out nice and easy, nothing fancy. Some people may ask why I didn't put a Ugga Dugga machine on this nut here, and I've seen that go poorly in the past. I'm not saying, I personally have never experienced it, but I've seen it enough that years and years ago it made me uncomfortable from ever using the Ugga Dugga machine on anything that bolts to glass. So I don't do it. I'll mess with it. You know, I let this soak in some Croil, and then I scraped around the inside threads, you know, where the nut meets up in here. I sprayed it down, let it soak a little bit more, and then instead of using my stumpy 3/8, I went to a normal length 3/8 ratchet, and that actually, you know, that popped it free. Like I say, just working with stuff that bolts through glass, I don't know. I've seen it fail too many times, and I'd rather be slow and steady than getting. All right, as you see, everything's back in. It's plugged up. Be mindful of, can I get in here where people can see? Right here. This piece of trim that holds the wiring harness slots in to this this piece back here. So just be careful putting it back together depending on how brittle your plastic is. Then here, all this back together. I don't know if you can tell, but that handle is a little this way. And there's not a whole lot I could do about that. That's just play in the way it seats, the way it keys in. It just had that much play in it. And this is a genuine Mopar wiper motor, replacement wiper motor. It's not like an OEM equivalent or remanufactured or anything like that. So that's just play in it. If this kind of thing bothers you, you know, hold it where you want it, tighten the nut. For me, that little bit off isn't going to make a hill of beans difference. I think I use this particular opening more than my wife does anyway. As you can see, even though it's her car. So you can see we've got our handy dandy copper Loctite, and down here in the seal, just a little dab of bearing grease. Just to put on it. It's just something. You don't need to do it. It's probably not recommended. There's probably going to be a million people that are going to say, you know, how the grease is an oil or the seal is an oil compatible, and it's going to rot, and it's going to do this, that, and the other. I don't know. Over the years, in high moisture places like this, I found that just that little bit, I don't know, it's helped me along. You know, I've had stuff last 15, 20 years without leaking, which I guess doesn't sound like a whole lot, but you know, in comparison to other people that had problems. Anyway, I'm rambling. That's it. Put the arm back on, put a new blade on. I'll put the arm on, tighten the nut, put a new blade on, put the hatch cover back in, and everything should be good to go. We can test run it. All right, so the panel's back in. Now getting the seal in, I found or whatever, on panels like this, I tend, if I can get away with it, I don't seat the panel into the seal. I get the panel seated, and then I grab a body tool like this, and then just work the seal out of the panel. Everybody's back in place. I was originally going to go from the top, since it goes straight in. I was originally going to try to hook this first and work down, and it just worked out easier to work the bottom end and then come up here to the top. Everything's in. I have test run the wiper motor, but you know, for the sake of what good TV, let's pause this, set the camera up, see what okay, let's go see what we can do. Push button start's cool, but sometimes it gets annoying when you have to put things in accessory. All right, so yeah, that's it. I think I went over everything tool-wise that you're going to need. It's a fairly simple, straightforward job. 10mm pick, 22mm, 5mm, couple of plastic body dies, and or you know, body clip tools, things like that, and have fun with it. You know. Right? I mean, it's changing a wiper motor. What are you gonna? How much fun can you have? So get out, have fun, have a nice day.